Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about something that we all have experienced in our lives, problems. We all face difficulties, we all encounter setbacks, and we all stumble on this journey called life. There's not a single person here who has not felt the weight of their own struggles, who has not wondered, even if just for a moment, why the world seems to throw obstacle after obstacle in their path. But the real question is, what do you do when these problems arise? How do you react? How do you handle it when life becomes tough? You see, we live in a world where it's easy, sometimes too easy, to tell everyone about your problems. Social media encourages us to vent our frustrations, to share our hardships, to seek validation from others. We're trained to believe that airing out our difficulties will somehow make them go away. But I want to challenge that idea today. I want to suggest something different. I want to tell you, don't tell people about your problems. Now, I'm not saying that you should bottle everything up or that you should never seek help when you need it. That's not what this is about. But there is immense power in keeping certain struggles to yourself, in learning how to navigate through life's storms without constantly broadcasting your pain to the world. Because not everyone who listens to your problems has your best interest at heart. Not everyone who hears about your troubles will offer solutions. And sometimes when you reveal too much, you give people the power to define you by your problems. So let me tell you why I believe that silence, resilience, and inner strength are often your greatest allies. First and foremost, we must recognize that problems are a universal experience. There isn't a single person in this world who hasn't been touched by hardship, who hasn't faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable at the time. But here's the thing, those challenges are personal. They belong to you. They are part of your journey, your growth, and your transformation. Telling others about your problems doesn't always lighten the load. In fact, it can sometimes make it heavier. Why? Because the more people you involve, the more opinions you invite, the more voices you allow into your head, the harder it becomes to hear your own. Your problems, your struggles, they are yours to solve, to face, to overcome. You don't need the world's input to do that. Sometimes the only voice you need to listen to is your own. And when you can stand tall in the face of adversity without seeking sympathy or validation from others, you become stronger. You become more self-reliant. You realize that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. Another reason why it's important not to tell people about your problems is because they can't always understand what you're going through. Even the people who care about you deeply, your family, your friends, may not be able to fully grasp the depth of your struggle. And that's not their fault. It's just a reality of the human experience. We are all walking our own paths, carrying our own burdens, fighting our own battles. And while empathy is a beautiful thing, it has its limits. Sometimes people will try to help you, but their advice will fall short because they simply can't see the full picture. They don't know the intricacies of your situation, the nuances of your pain. They mean well, but their guidance may lead you astray because they don't have the same vantage point that you do. When you rely too heavily on others to help you solve your problems, you risk losing sight of your own instincts. You start to question your own judgment, your own ability to navigate through life. And that, my friends, is a dangerous thing. Because the truth is, you know yourself better than anyone else ever will. You are the only one who can truly understand the complexity of your own challenges. So instead of seeking validation from others, trust yourself. Trust that you have the wisdom, the strength, and the resilience to figure it out. Yes, it may be difficult. Yes, it may take time, but there is power in the struggle. There is growth in the discomfort. And when you come out on the other side, you will be stronger, wiser, and more self-assured because you faced your problems head on without leaning on the crutch of external validation. Now, let's talk about something that's uncomfortable but true. Not everyone in your life wants to see you win. It's a hard pill to swallow, but the reality is that some people will take pleasure in your struggles. Some people will pretend to offer support, but deep down they are secretly hoping that you fail. They want to see you stumble because your success reminds them of their own shortcomings. When you tell people about your problems, you are giving them a window into your vulnerabilities. You are exposing your weaknesses. And while some people may offer genuine support, others may use that information against you. They may exploit your struggles to feel better about their own lives. They may spread rumors, gossip behind your back, or use your problems as a way to tear you down. And here's the kicker: the people who do this often wear the mask of friendship. They come across as concerned, as caring, as helpful, but their true intentions are hidden beneath the surface. They thrive on drama, on chaos, on seeing others struggle, because it makes them feel more secure in their own lives. So why give them that power? Why hand them the keys to your inner world? Keep your problems to yourself, not because you're ashamed of them, but because they are your business, and not everyone deserves access to your personal struggles. And protect your peace, protect your energy, and protect yourself from those who may not have your best interests at heart. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the ability to sit with your problems in silence, to reflect, to analyze, and to find your own solutions. Solitude is not something to be feared. It's something to be embraced. Because in solitude, you discover who you truly are. You strip away the noise of the world, the opinions of others, and you are left with just yourself. In that space, you can begin to see your problems more clearly. You can examine them from different angles. You can tap into the wisdom that lies within you, the strength that you may not even know you possess. The world is noisy. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know what's best for you. But when you take a step back, when you retreat into yourself, you create a space for clarity. You begin to trust your own judgment. You begin to see that you don't need others to solve your problems for you. You have the power to do it yourself. This doesn't mean that you should never seek help or guidance. There are times when it's necessary, and there's no shame in that. But there's a difference between seeking genuine help and constantly sharing your problems with the world in the hopes of finding answers. The latter will often leave you feeling more lost, more confused, and more overwhelmed. So embrace solitude, embrace self-reflection, and trust that the answers you seek are already within you. There's a saying that goes, strength is not always loud, and I believe that wholeheartedly. Strength is often found in silence, in the quiet determination to keep moving forward, even when life is throwing everything it can at you. Strength is in the ability to endure without complaining, to face adversity without seeking pity, to walk through the storm without needing to announce your every step to the world. When you keep your problems to yourself, you cultivate inner strength. You learn how to rely on yourself, how to solve your own problems, how to pick yourself up when you fall. And in doing so, you build a resilience that cannot be shaken. You see, the world doesn't need to know about every challenge you face. It doesn't need to hear about every hardship you endure. Because the truth is, your problems do not define you. Your actions do. How you choose to respond to those challenges, that's what matters. When you keep moving forward, despite the obstacles, when you continue to push through, even when the weight of the world is on your shoulders, you are showing true strength. And that strength doesn't need to be broadcasted. It doesn't need to be announced. It speaks for itself. We live in an era where the line between private and public has become increasingly blurred. Social media platforms encourage us to share every aspect of our lives, from the mundane to the monumental, from our successes to our failures. We're taught to believe that sharing is not just a way of connecting, but also a means of validation. Yet, what many fail to realize is that the overexposure of our personal lives, especially our problems, can leave us vulnerable to external influences that don't always serve our best interests. When you constantly tell people about your problems, you give them access to a part of your life that should be sacred. Privacy is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. It allows you to protect your emotional well-being, your energy, and your sense of self. When you maintain your privacy, you maintain control over your narrative. You get to decide who knows what, and more importantly, how they know it. Think about it: when your problems are out in the open for everyone to see, people begin to define you by them. They start associating you with your struggles, and whether they mean to or not, they start viewing you through a lens of pity or judgment. Privacy allows you to avoid that. It gives you the space to face your challenges on your terms without the weight of external opinions or labels. Not everyone deserves to know your battles. Some things are meant to be kept within the confines of your own heart and mind. This is not about hiding or being secretive. It's about protecting your peace, your dignity, and your focus. In a world that glorifies oversharing, there is immense power in withholding. Not every part of your life needs to be on display, and that includes your problems. When you guard your struggles closely, you maintain a certain autonomy over your own journey. You are the author of your story, and you have the right to decide which chapters are shared and which are kept private. One of the most profound truths about life is that where your focus goes, your energy flows. If you constantly focus on your problems, if you constantly talk about them, dwell on them, and share them with others, then your problems will consume you. But if you shift your focus to solutions, to progress, to growth, you open yourself up to the possibility of overcoming those very challenges. It's easy to fall into the trap of complaining, of focusing on what's wrong rather than what could be made right. But think about this: every minute you spend talking about your problems is a minute you could have spent finding a solution. Every ounce of energy you invest in sharing your struggles is energy that could have been used to overcome them. When you tell people about your problems, you're not necessarily looking for solutions. More often than not, you're seeking sympathy, understanding, or validation. And while those things can feel good in the short term, they don't actually help you in the long run. Sympathy doesn't solve problems. Validation doesn't fix what's broken. Only action can do that. So instead of focusing on the problems themselves, focus on what you can do to solve them. Channel your energy into finding solutions, into making progress, into moving forward. It doesn't matter how small the steps are, as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're making progress. And here's something to remember: you don't need to announce your progress to the world. You don't need to tell everyone what you're doing, how hard you're working, or how far you've come. Let your results speak for themselves. When you focus on the solutions rather than the problems, the outcomes will eventually become evident. And those outcomes will say far more about you than any conversation about your struggles ever could. It's important to acknowledge that the world we live in is not always a safe place for vulnerability. While there are people who will listen to your problems with compassion and understanding, there are also people who will exploit your vulnerabilities for their own gain. Not everyone who hears about your struggles will have your best interests at heart. Some will use your problems as a way to manipulate, control, or undermine you. This is why it's so crucial to be discerning about who you confide in. Not everyone deserves access to your vulnerabilities, and not everyone is equipped to handle the weight of your struggles. When you tell people about your problems, you are giving them a piece of yourself, a piece that can either be held with care or used as a weapon. The harsh reality is that not everyone you meet will be a safe harbor for your pain. Some people will use your problems against you, whether it's through gossip, manipulation, or judgment. And the more you share, the more ammunition you give them. This doesn't mean you should never be vulnerable. It simply means you should be selective about when, where, and with whom you choose to be vulnerable. True strength lies in knowing when to open up and when to hold back. It lies in understanding that your problems don't need to be shared with everyone, and that not everyone is worthy of hearing your story. Protect your vulnerability, protect your heart, and most importantly, protect your peace. There's something powerful about silent struggle. When you face your problems without constantly seeking validation or sympathy from others, you build a strength that is unshakable. You learn how to rely on yourself, how to push through adversity with grace and resilience. And that kind of strength can only be cultivated in silence. Think of a tree that grows in the wilderness far away from the eyes of the world. It doesn't need applause or recognition to grow tall and strong. It simply grows quietly, steadily, until one day it stands as a testament to the power of patience and perseverance. You too can grow in silence. You can face your problems with quiet determination without needing to announce your every step to the world. You don't need the approval of others to validate your journey. You don't need their applause to keep moving forward. True strength comes from within, and it's often forged in the moments when no one is watching. When you stop telling people about your problems, you allow yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to transform without the noise of external voices. You learn how to stand on your own 2 feet, how to trust yourself, and how to navigate through life's challenges with grace. And that kind of strength is far more powerful than any validation or sympathy you could ever receive from others. It's important to remember that your problems are temporary. No matter how overwhelming they may feel in the moment, they are not permanent fixtures in your life. They are challenges to be overcome, obstacles to be navigated, and lessons to be learned. But they do not define you, and they do not have the power to dictate your future. When you tell people about your problems, you risk giving those problems more power than they deserve. You risk making them a central part of your narrative rather than a passing chapter in your story. But when you choose to face your problems in silence, you allow yourself the space to grow beyond them. You give yourself the opportunity to focus on the lessons they are teaching you rather than the pain they are causing you. Your growth is permanent. The strength, wisdom, and resilience you gain from facing your problems will stay with you long after the problems themselves have faded away. And that growth is far more valuable than any momentary validation you could receive from telling people about your struggles. So, the next time you find yourself facing a problem, ask yourself, do I want to focus on the problem, or do I want to focus on my growth? Do I want to dwell on what's wrong, or do I want to move forward and become stronger because of it? The choice is yours, and it's a choice that will determine the trajectory of your life. Resilience is not something that is built in the spotlight. It's not something that is cultivated through applause or recognition. Resilience is built in the shadows, in the moments when no one is watching, in the quiet determination to keep going, even when the road ahead seems impossible. When you stop telling people about your problems, you give yourself the space to build resilience. You learn how to face adversity without needing constant reassurance from others. You learn how to pick yourself up after a fall, how to keep moving forward, even when the odds are stacked against you. And that kind of resilience is invaluable. It's the kind of resilience that will carry you through life's toughest challenges, that will give you the strength to keep going when others would give up. It's the kind of resilience that can only be built in the moments of silent struggle, when you rely on yourself rather than the validation of others. So embrace the shadows. Embrace the moments of quiet struggle, because those are the moments when your true strength is being built. You don't need the world to see your pain in order to grow from it. You don't need to tell people about your problems in order to overcome them. Your resilience will speak for itself. When you let your success speak for you, you allow your actions to tell your story. You don't have to explain yourself, justify your journey, or seek approval from others. The work you put in, the quiet effort, the unseen battles, these will all be reflected in your achievements. And that is a statement no one can refute. There's a quiet dignity in facing your problems without constantly announcing them to the world. It shows that you're not looking for sympathy, you're looking for solutions. It shows that you're not trying to impress others with your resilience, you're building a better version of yourself for yourself. Understand this, people notice. Even when you think no one is watching, people notice how you move through life. They notice whether you're always complaining about your problems or whether you handle them with grace and composure. And believe me, they will respect you more for your silence and struggle than they will for any loud proclamation of your hardships. Because here's the truth, everyone has problems. Everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. The difference between those who rise above and those who stay stuck is how they handle their struggles. Those who rise above understand the power of keeping quiet, putting their head down, and getting to work. They understand that success is not something that comes from talking about how hard things are. It comes from pushing through no matter how hard things get. So don't tell people about your problems. Let your success be your answer to every challenge, every setback, every obstacle. Let your achievements speak louder than your struggles ever could. One of the greatest lessons you can learn in life is that not every struggle deserves an audience. There are some battles that are meant to be fought in private, some challenges that are meant to be faced alone, not because you're weak or incapable, but because some struggles are sacred. They are meant to teach you something about yourself that no one else can understand. When you make your problems public, you invite opinions, advice, and judgments from people who may not fully grasp what you're going through. You risk diluting the lesson that the struggle is trying to teach you by allowing too many voices to interfere. You see, sometimes the greatest lessons are learned in solitude, in those moments when you're forced to rely solely on your own strength and intuition. There's a profound sense of growth that happens when you face a challenge without broadcasting it to the world. You begin to understand that you are enough. You have the answers within you. You don't need the approval or input of others to validate your experience. Your struggles are part of your personal growth journey, and not every aspect of that journey needs to be shared. In fact, some of the most transformative moments in life happen when no one is watching. When you keep your struggles to yourself, you allow yourself the space to truly grow and evolve without the pressure of external expectations or opinions. One of the harsh realities of life is that while you may tell people about your problems, they will soon forget them. People have their own lives, their own challenges, their own struggles to deal with. While they may offer a listening ear or a kind word in the moment, they will move on. Your problems, which may seem monumental to you, are just fleeting moments in someone else's day. But you remember, you live with your problems every day. You wake up with them, you go to sleep with them, and they occupy space in your mind in ways that others simply cannot understand. This is why constantly telling people about your problems can be so draining. You may be looking for validation or support, but in the end, you're left with the same challenges, while the people you confide in go back to their own lives. This isn't to say that people don't care, but rather that no one will ever care as much about your problems as you do. And that's okay. That's not a reason to feel hurt or disappointed. It's simply a reminder that your journey is your own. You are the one who has to live with your struggles, and you are the one who will ultimately have to find a way through them. When you stop expecting others to carry your burdens with you, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You realize that you are strong enough to handle whatever life throws your way. You realize that your problems, while significant, do not define you. And most importantly, you realize that you have the power to overcome them on your own. There's a reason why so many successful people are known for their discretion. It's because they understand the value of silence. They understand that talking about their problems, their plans, or their struggles can sometimes hinder their progress. When you tell people about your problems, you're not just sharing your current situation, you're also revealing potential weaknesses, fears, and doubts that others may use against you. Silence protects your future. When you keep your struggles to yourself, you shield your dreams from the negativity and doubt of others. You give yourself the space to work on your goals without interference or criticism. And most importantly, you allow yourself the freedom to evolve and change without being tied to the opinions or expectations of others. You see, when you tell people about your problems, you invite them to form opinions about your future. They start to see you through the lens of your struggles rather than through the lens of your potential. And once people have formed an opinion about you, it can be difficult to change their perception. By keeping your problems to yourself, you maintain control over your narrative. You decide how people see you, and more importantly, you decide how you see yourself. You're not defined by your struggles, you're defined by how you rise above them. So protect your future by guarding your present. Keep your struggles close, not because you're afraid to share them, but because you understand the power of silence. You understand that not every battle needs to be fought in the public eye. Some battles are won in the quiet moments of self-reflection, determination, and resilience. Have you ever noticed that the more you talk about something, the more it becomes a part of your identity? This is especially true when it comes to problems. The more you talk about your problems, the more they become a part of your daily narrative. You start to see yourself as someone who is defined by their struggles rather than someone who is defined by their ability to overcome them. When you constantly tell people about your problems, you reinforce a narrative of hardship, of difficulty, of victimhood. And while it's important to acknowledge the challenges you face, it's equally important to not let those challenges define you. You are not your problems. You are not your hardships. You are not your struggles. You are the person who is capable of overcoming them. Instead of talking about your problems, talk about your solutions. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what you can do to make it right. By shifting your narrative, you shift your mindset. And by shifting your mindset, you change your life. The more you focus on solutions, the more solutions will present themselves. The more you focus on progress, the more progress you will make. And the more you focus on your potential, the more you will begin to realize just how limitless that potential is. So be mindful of the words you speak. Be mindful of the narrative you create for yourself. Because what you talk about, you become. And if you want to become someone who rises above their problems, someone who achieves success despite the obstacles, then you need to start speaking in terms of growth, of progress, and of possibility. At the end of the day, your journey is yours alone. No one else can walk it for you. No one else can carry your burdens. And no one else can experience the depth of your struggles in the way that you do. This is why it's so important to trust yourself. Trust that you have the strength to overcome whatever challenges come your way. Trust that you have the wisdom to navigate through difficult times. And trust that you don't need to tell the world about your problems in order to find your way. Your journey is deeply personal. It's a reflection of who you are, of what you've been through, and of who you're becoming. And while there may be times when you feel the urge to share your struggles with others, remember that you are more than capable of handling them on your own. You are stronger than you think. You are more resilient than you know. And you have everything you need within you to overcome whatever life throws your way. So walk your journey with confidence. Face your problems with quiet strength. And know that you don't need to tell people about your problems in order to rise above them. In silence, you find clarity. When the world is not cluttered with voices weighing in on your problems, when you're not distracted by what others think or say, you can truly listen to yourself. You can hear your own thoughts, your own instincts. And those instincts are often far more reliable than the noise of external opinions. Silence allows you to step back from your problems and see them from a different perspective. It gives you the space to think critically, to weigh your options, and to decide on the best course of action without being influenced by others. In that space, you can cultivate wisdom that comes from within, that is uniquely your own. But perhaps the most significant reward of silence is peace. When you stop telling people about your problems, you free yourself from the need for approval or validation. You no longer need to explain yourself or justify your actions. You can simply focus on what matters, solving the problem, moving forward, and finding peace within yourself. There's a deep sense of fulfillment that comes with knowing you've handled a challenge on your own terms, that you've overcome something difficult without the need for external praise or recognition. That kind of fulfillment can only come from within. And that is the true reward of silence. Your energy is one of your most valuable resources. It's what fuels your ability to think, to act, to make decisions, and to move forward in life. But when you constantly tell people about your problems, you drain that energy. You scatter it across too many conversations, too many opinions, too many discussions that don't actually help you solve the issue at hand. Think of your energy like a battery. Every time you talk about your problems, you're using up a little bit of that battery. And before you know it, you're left feeling drained, exhausted, and no closer to a solution. But when you keep your problems to yourself, when you conserve your energy for the things that truly matter, like finding solutions, taking action, and moving forward, you become far more powerful. You're able to focus all of your energy on the things that will actually help you, rather than wasting it on conversations that only serve to validate your struggles. Protect your energy. Don't give it away to people who don't deserve it. Don't waste it on conversations that won't move you forward. Instead, channel that energy into solving your problems, into bettering yourself, and into building the life you want. When you protect your energy, you become unstoppable. You become someone who is focused, determined, and resilient. You're no longer weighed down by the opinions or judgments of others. You're free to move forward with clarity and purpose. One of the reasons why it's important to stop telling people about your problems is because not everyone will understand your journey. People can only see your life through their own lens, and that lens is shaped by their experiences, their beliefs, and their perceptions. They may offer advice or opinions, but those opinions are often based on their own reality, not yours. When you share your problems with others, you open yourself up to advice that may not align with who you are or where you're headed. People may mean well, but their advice might not be the right fit for your unique situation. And when you follow advice that doesn't resonate with you, you can end up feeling even more lost or confused. Not everyone will understand the path you're on. Not everyone will see the vision you have for your life. And that's okay. Your journey is not meant for everyone to understand. It's meant for you to understand. It's meant for you to navigate, to learn from, and to grow through. When you stop telling people about your problems, you give yourself the space to trust your own instincts. You allow yourself to be guided by your own inner compass rather than by the opinions of others. And in doing so, you become more aligned with your true self and your true purpose. Problems are fleeting. No matter how overwhelming they may seem in the moment, they will eventually pass. But the strength you build from overcoming those problems, that strength is lasting. It becomes a part of who you are, a part of your character, a part of your identity. When you face your problems without constantly seeking sympathy or validation from others, you give yourself the chance to grow stronger. You give yourself the opportunity to face adversity head on and to develop resilience that will serve you for the rest of your life. Every time you overcome a challenge, every time you solve a problem on your own, you add to your inner strength. And that strength will carry you through future challenges, through future struggles. It will become a foundation that you can rely on no matter what life throws your way. But when you constantly tell people about your problems, you weaken that foundation. You become dependent on external validation, on the support and opinions of others. And while there's nothing wrong with seeking help when you need it, there's a fine line between asking for support and becoming reliant on it. Build your strength in silence. Face your problems with quiet determination. And know that the strength you gain from overcoming those challenges will last long after the problems themselves have faded away. Resilience is one of the most important qualities you can cultivate in life. It's the ability to bounce back from adversity, to keep going when things get tough, to face challenges with courage and determination. And resilience is built in the moments when you face your problems head on without constantly seeking validation from others. When you stop telling people about your problems, you give yourself the opportunity to build resilience. You learn how to rely on your own strength, how to trust yourself, and how to keep moving forward, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Resilience is not about never facing difficulties. It's about how you respond to those difficulties. It's about how you rise after you fall. It's about how you keep going, even when the odds are stacked against you. And here's the thing, resilience is not something you can build by talking about your problems. It's something you build by facing them, by working through them, by finding solutions and taking action. When you stop telling people about your problems, you give yourself the space to develop that resilience. You allow yourself to grow stronger, to become more capable, and to handle whatever life throws your way with grace and composure. No one else is responsible for your journey. No one else is responsible for solving your problems, for overcoming your challenges, or for creating the life you want. That responsibility lies with you and you alone. When you constantly tell people about your problems, you risk shifting that responsibility onto others. You may start to rely on their advice, their opinions, or their validation to guide you through your struggles. But the truth is, no one else can walk your path for you. No one else can do the work that needs to be done. Your journey is your own. It's your responsibility to find the solutions, to take the necessary steps, and to move forward in life. And when you embrace that responsibility, you become empowered. You realize that you have the strength, the wisdom, and the courage to navigate through any challenge. There's a sense of freedom that comes with taking full responsibility for your own life. When you stop telling people about your problems, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You become the captain of your own ship, steering your life in the direction you choose. It's not always easy. There will be times when you feel like giving up, times when the weight of your problems feels overwhelming. But remember this, you are capable of more than you know. You have everything you need within you to overcome any challenge that comes your way. So take ownership of your journey. Stop telling people about your problems and start focusing on the solutions. Trust in your own ability to navigate through life's challenges and know that you are more than capable of handling whatever comes your way. There's a reason why success often comes quietly, while failure tends to be loud. Success doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't need to be broadcasted or shouted from the rooftops. Success speaks for itself, and it often speaks in silence. When you stop telling people about your problems and focus on solving them, your success will come quietly. It will come in the form of personal growth, in the form of progress, in the form of accomplishments that don't need to be announced. And that kind of success is far more powerful than any validation or recognition you could receive from others. On the other hand, failure is often loud because it seeks attention. It seeks sympathy, it seeks validation, it seeks an audience. But the truth is, failure doesn't need to be loud. Failure is simply a part of the process. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. When you stop telling people about your problems, you stop giving failure a voice, you stop giving it the power to define you. Instead, you focus on the quiet success that comes from persistence, from resilience, from overcoming challenges without the need for external recognition.